All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. The copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
So, hey, Boo, I just had a thought. One of the reasons white people hate black people is because we cannot tolerate black joy. We cannot tolerate black intelligence. We cannot tolerate black beauty. We cannot tolerate black confidence. We cannot tolerate black camaraderie. We cannot tolerate anything that frees a black person. There's a level of racism that I think hits differently for black people than it does for Asian people or Hispanic people or Middle Eastern people or Native Americans even. Each one of those things that people think regarding other races are different with black people, I think. Because again, we don't like black people to be educated. We don't like them to be successful. We don't want black judges. We don't want anything for black people that doesn't directly affect and entertain us. So we can have a black nanny. We can have a black house cleaner. We can have a black teacher. We can have a black coach. We can have black players. But only for the specific things that we feel comfortable with. I think about all those sweet children that have been killed, murdered, when they go out with their white friends. And I think that as much as the trauma of slavery comes down through the DNA, I think also the cruelty of slavery, the desire to hurt, the desire to steal and kill and humiliate and torment and disappear black people is what comes down through the DNA. I think when you do something like that for long enough and you pass it down for the many years that slavery and enslaved people were in chains, that is an instinct with us, cruelty. And I think you can see it in many videos. All the white women and white men that are telling black kids and black families to get the hell out of here, you don't belong. We just don't want you to have more than us, honey. We just don't want you to be prettier. We don't want you to be the beauty standard. We don't want you to be judges or anything like that. We want you to be below us, beneath us. And we've tried so hard to keep you down, and we failed so badly. Because like Maya Angelou said, still you rise. We may hate you, we may beat you, we may do those things, and it makes us crazy that you keep coming back and getting better. We can't stand it. I don't know why that is. I think I heard somebody say that white people are the ones that have the ancestors that were closely related to the apes. And I believe that. We are so similar to Cro-Magnon man, Neanderthals. We're fucking pale monsters. I really hate being white sometimes. I'm super ashamed. I think things like, sorry, I don't get good sleep right now. I think when I see a young black kid with a bunch of white kids, or like I try to watch for things that are happening, and I was thinking to myself, if I saw a black kid hopping in a vehicle with a bunch of white kids, what would I do? I mean, I could do anything. I could get the black kid to come over and say, hey, I think I know your mother, come here. And then to say, you better get away from all them white boys. But I had a brown friend of mine tell me that that was silly and that it is savior-ish. Ooh, and I don't like that. White savior, white savior. Ugh. And then I still do it. I have it in me that black people need my help. Mexican people need my help. Hispanic people need my help. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. If they do, oh, please forgive me. I'm so sorry. If they do, they'll ask. That's one thing. They'll ask. And I'll know instinctually if I'm out and about and something's happening. I can just pay attention and see if there's a way for me to step to whatever the white person is doing. I don't know. We'll see. I think the cruelty lives in us, and I don't mean it like we don't have a choice. Of course we have a choice, but it comes down as instinct, and unless we work desperately, unless we work very, 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 very hard for very, very, very many years, we will never be rid of it. We'll never be rid of it anyway, but anyway, that's my thought, for whatever it's worth.
This is the book of Job, chapter 15, verse 6, and it reads, Thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I. Yea, thine own lips testify against thee. Giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rahakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Ayasha Barazal from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, coming back at you with another lesson that is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Well, that Edomite woman said a whole lot, which, those of us in the truth were not surprised by that, because we go into the history of the scriptures as well as secular history lining up. That's how we're able to identify who Esau Edom is, the wicked, all right? And of course, we know who the Israelites are, all right? And how we use markers to identify. But, nevertheless, that's fine. She's telling all that, but, she's not going to be exempt from judgment. And I think she knows that, because she ended up saying sometimes she hates being white. Well, she's not white. We know there's a social construct. Okay, no one is white, because that means without moral impurity. And based on what she was saying, that's a contradiction to the nature of her people. Okay, they are red. Okay, the blood shows forth through the skin. All right. the red Hebrew Edomites. All right. So she's not white, just like we're not black. That means everything bad, everything terrible, without void of light. Total darkness. You know, and when you look at any of us, even the darkest person, they are still shades of brown. All right. So let's just squash that. But like I said, she won't have any mercy either. That's why she's saying, I hate being white, because they know what's about to happen. They see their world crumbling, but they're going to be in denial. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 109, starting verse 13, and it reads, "Let his posterity be cut off, and in the generation following, let their name be blotted out." And if you start at the top of this chapter, this is talking about the wicked, who is Esau Edom, the so-called white man, according to Malachi 1 and 4. Okay, it says, "Let his posterity be cut off." All right, and posterity means from the progenitor of a nation to the furthest descendant of that same nation. Okay, so that means him and everybody who's of his seed line. All right. It says, "And in the generation following, let their name be blotted out." They're going to be no more. All right, out of history, forever. When that time comes, when we take over the kingdom, and they are in slavery, twice as long and twice as hard as we were, but in righteousness, they're going to be done away with, according to Obadiah chapter 1 verse 18. All right. It says, "Let the iniquity of his fathers be remembered with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai." All right. And that's all of his sins are going to be remembered with the Most High. He doesn't think the Most High sees him. You'll get that in Psalms 10. You know, he believes that, hey, this is what it is, what he's supposed to do, but he doesn't think that he's going to have to pay for it. All right. It says, "And let not the sin of his mother be blotted out." Yes, you Edomite women, all of our communities that were destroyed during the Reconstruction period after slavery, late 1800s, early 1920s, a lot of those communities were destroyed because of a false accusation from women like who's in this video. All right. It says, "And let not the sin of his mother be blotted out." The Lord's going to remember your ass too when it comes to judging. All right. He says, "Let them be before Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai continually, that he may cut off the memory of them from earth." So it says it again. Okay. You may cut off from earth once you leave here after that slavery is over. And you say, "Well, I didn't have anything to do with that. That was my ancestors." You don't understand. We were judged as a nation, even our prophets and judges. What makes you think you're any different? And we're his special people. All right, his chosen people. What makes you think you're any different? The Lord has his discretion or of judging a nation or an individual, you know. And in your case, Esau, Edom, he's judging the whole nation. That's all throughout the scriptures. This is book of Job 34 and 29. It says, "When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? When he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only, that the hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared." Yeah, you're coming out of rulership, and he's judging a nation. That the hypocrite reign not. Even if you didn't do anything, you're of that same wicked seed line. It's just a matter of time before you do something. All right. And she was going into how much they hated to see us with any success. Any success. All right. all those nice towns that we had built up, self-sustaining, not needing them for anything. And that had to piss them off, considering, what you're talking about, 1865, the slaves were so-called freed, but the first ship landed over here in 1619, and Gad was being clobbered before that with the Indian Removal Act and all of that stuff. A lot of the stuff we cover in the For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob videos. Yeah, y'all did a lot of stuff. All right, you just cannot stand to see us happy in any way, shape, or form. Like she said, camaraderie. You even had laws against Jake, as slaves. So, you couldn't be what they call. They tried to bring it back in Chicago. You can't have more than two black people, so-called black people, standing together because they thought you were plotting. All right. They hated anything, and still do to this day, that makes us happy. I just saw a video earlier. This Edomite, why don't you black people build your own communities and stuff? That just goes to show how dumb he fucking is. You know, we would love to see you guys start your own communities. We did that, and your people, with the help of the government, destroyed all of that. All right, just came in bulldozing stuff, or killing people. Flooding out communities with water, making man-made lakes. All right, that's what you all did. All right, terrorizing Jake, making them flee, and then not only did you take their land, you took their clothes and everything that they had to leave behind for fear and death. This is the Book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 18, and it reads, "They hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come." And that, of course, there's another time, but that applied to that Reconstruction period. You know, they were raising hell on Jake in their own communities. All right. It's like that lady was saying. She was exactly right. They couldn't stand us to see us happy, couldn't stand to see us prosper. She said she didn't know why. That's that ancient hatred, lady. A very ancient hatred that goes all the way back to the beginning. This is Genesis chapter 27, starting at verse 38. All right. And this is when Esau realized that, he had been supplanted for the birthright, the inheritance. But he had sold it anyway. Go back to Genesis 25. Always playing the victim when he's actually the villain. You didn't sold it to him and gonna try to swindle it back from your father because he's in his old age. All right. Verse 38, and it reads, "And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling will be the fatness of the earth." He's going to have all the best places, okay? "And the dew of heaven from above." Verse 40, "And by thy sword shalt thou live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. And when it shall come to pass, when thou have dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck," which, he did. All right. This is verse 41. And it says, "And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, or in his mind, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob." So that's where it all began, lady. Right there. And it hasn't stopped. This is the book of Amos, 1 and 11. And it reads, For thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof. Yeah, you done a whole lot to us, you know, going all the way back to exiting Egypt. That's what you're going to have to pay for, you know, with Amalek, your head tribe, who are so-called Jewish people today, the small hatters, okay? That goes all, and they're your head tribe, according to Numbers 24 and 20, okay? That ancient hatred goes all the way back then. You attacked our feeble and weak, you know? He said he's not going to turn away the punishment thereof. Yeah, all your shit is adding up, and it's about to come to a head real quick. It says, because he did pursue his brother, who was Jacob, with the sword. Okay, that was his blessing, the sword. You saw that when I read it in Genesis. All right, it said, and did cast off all pity. He had no mercy for Jake. You know, like I read back in Psalms 109, verse 16. All right, and his anger did tear perpetually. That means continually, and has kept his wrath forever. And we seen that to this day. You know, you got the Nolan Wells guy, 2 other people come up hang, uh, you know, in Mississippi. That unjust sentence to Carmelo Anthony. Okay, they was shown that they withheld evidence in both of these cases. You know, just a mess. So yeah, that's why you feel like that. That's an ancient hatred within you. All right. And she was saying that if the trauma for slavery um, was passed down, so could the cruelty from the slave owners pass down. They call that term epigenetics. Epigenetics. All right, I got that pulled up here. Oops. I tell you, these pop-up ads, man. Like the elder said, whoever created that stuff on these apps we try to teach with, you know, the Lord gonna get them. All right. Epigenetics. It's a noun, okay? And it means the definition, the study of heritable changes in gene function that do not involve changes in the DNA sequence. So yeah, just like that, trauma can be passed down, okay? So can the cruelty of the slave owners. But I look at it like this. This is things returning to what they were. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9. And it reads, The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So yeah, that history repeating itself. All right, because you got those same spirits coming back. You know, it says, verse 10, Is there anything whereof it may be said, See, this is new? It hath already been of old time, which is before us. See there? So yeah, it does repeat itself. All right. So yeah, they give it a scientific name, but hey, same stuff is happening all over again. All right. And she said it was their instinct to be cruel. Well, that's how you were created. Okay. That's how you were created. Even when you think you being merciful, you're cruel. All right. What's that? Proverbs 12 and 10, I think. A righteous man, which is Jake, regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. So even when he think he's being nice, he's fucking cruel and wicked. That's just the way he is. And he was like that from the womb, even though nothing he hadn't done anything yet. This is Romans chapter 9. And I'm going to start at verse 9. And it reads, "For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth." All right. And it was said unto her, Rebekah, that the elder shall serve the younger. The elder was Esau. He came out first, red all over, as a hairy garment. And the younger was Jacob. Okay? And it reads, "As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated." And that's quoted from the book of Malachi, verses 1 through 3. All right? And it says, "What shall we say then? Is there any unrighteousness with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai? Yahweh Bashem Yahushai forbid." And just to prove that, no, there's no unrighteousness with him. This is the book of Psalms. I'll come back to that. 92 and 15. And it reads, "To show that the Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is upright, he is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him." All right. Back to Romans 9. All right. Verse 15. "For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion." And that's, what I was reading in Job 34 and 29. It's at his discretion, you know, to whom he's going to judge and whom he's not going to judge. All right. But we know he's going to have mercy on Jacob. All right. His elect is ultimately going to be the whole nation. But yeah, he's going to have mercy on Jake, and no mercy on Esau. James 2 and 13. Same thing I read in Psalms 109. No mercy on him because he didn't show any mercy. All right. Verse 17. "For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth." All right. Yasharallah. All right. He, Prince Power. He says, "Therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will hardeneth." All right. So yeah, I'm gonna read that again. "Therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will hardeneth." All right. He says, "Thou wilt say unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For who hath resisted his will?" All right. Nobody can. "Nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus?" Yeah, you know, the axe can't boast itself against the one who's wielding it. Okay, can't do that. It says, "Have not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor?" All right. So yeah, it's up to the Lord. Let me prove that. I'm gonna go grab this in Sirach 33 just to prove what that passage was saying. Ecclesiasticus chapter 33, starting in verse 10. Verse 10, it reads, "And all men are created from the ground, and Adam was created of the earth. In much knowledge the Lord hath divided them and made their ways diverse." Okay? He made their ways diverse. Okay? One lump unto honor, one lump unto dishonor. One he hated and one he loved. All right? It says, "Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, some of them hath he set near him." Slack. Verse 12 again. "Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified and set near himself." All right, that's talking about Jacob, the Israelites, 12 tribes. "But some of them hath he cursed and brought low and turned out of their places." That's Esau, Edom, and bringing them low and turning them out of their places is on its way to happen. It's coming to fruition right now if you understand the prophecies. All right. Verse 13. "As the clay is in the potter's hand," that's that lump it was made from, "to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the hand of him that made him, to render to them as liketh him best." All right. He made one wicked. He made one evil. He made one righteous. You know, he made one wicked. Again, one is good, one is bad. That's that balance. All right. Made one just, made one unjust. All right. Verse 14. It says, "Good," Jacob, is set against evil, Esau, and life, Jacob, we have immortality, against death. All right. That's Esau, Edom. The devil do nothing but come to kill, steal, and destroy. Okay. "So is the godly," Jacob. He's only the God of Israel. Joel chapter 2, verse 27. Okay. It says, "So is the godly against the sinner." Okay. And that's the sinner. Esau, Edom, the man of sin, son of perdition. And the sinner, Esau, Edom again, against the godly. Okay. Verse 15. "So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against the other." All right. Just that simple. So yeah, that lady, she knows who she is. She didn't call the correct name or the correct nation, Esau, Edom, but yeah, like she said, she knows that they're savage when she was talking about that DNA, you know, Cro-Magnon man, just savage, reckless, nasty, uncouth, no morality. All right, go back to that Romans chapter 9. I think I was towards the last verse, 22, that I wanted to hit. Yeah. All right. It says, "What if Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endure with much long suffering the vassals of wrath fitted to destruction?" And yes, he is long suffering with them. That's in the book of Job, chapter 21. We start at verse 29. All right. And it reads, "Have ye not asked them that go by the way, and do ye not know their tokens, know their signs?" Yeah, wickedness in every aspect. Esau, Edom. That the wicked, okay, Esau, Edom, the wicked, according to Malachi 1 and 4, is reserved to the day of destruction. That's just what the Lord said in Romans 9. He's long suffering and going to get that destruction to the vessels of dishonor. He says that they should be brought forth to the day of wrath, judgment day, which is pending. It says, "Who shall declare his way to his face?" That's the prophets right now. And those elites are shook up. All right. And now it's making his way down. All right. Because the regular Joe Six-Pack Edomite is starting to understand. But he ain't going down without a fight. He still believe in this place, and it's not going to be here. Okay. And it says, and who shall repay him what he have done? It will be Yahweh Bashem Yahushai by the hand of his people Israel. You'll get that in Ezekiel 25, chapters 12, verses 12 through 14, as well as Joel chapter 3, 19 through 21. Okay. Verse 32 says, yet shall he be brought to the grave and shall remain in the tomb. So yeah, you're going to be brought down and never rise up again. Okay. We get that in Isaiah chapter 14, 21 and 22. It says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. That's his descendants, Esau's descendants, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Once you come out of rulership this time, you'll never rise again. All right. Verse 22, it says, for I will rise up against them, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai of hosts, and cut off from Babylon, okay, the name Esau Edom, and the remnant was left over, and the son and nephew, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And it's the entire seed line. Okay? So yeah, she was right in saying that, she hates she's white because they don't have a whole lot of time left, in rulership, and then they go into slavery. All right. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be likened to the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, Abba Babal. We got next. Shalom.